through this square!
Time to get some fresh air. Mayor the Bee. It's been a while. 15 years, in fact. Now, if Mayor the Bee sounds like a cutesy cartoon character that's intended for children, well, that's because she is. Created in 1912 by German writer Waldemar Bonzels, pictured here pointing at a model for some reason, Maya has gone on to appear in books, comics, anime, and of course, video games. Which brings me on to Maya the Bee and her friends for the Game Boy Color. A game that holds a strange and terrifying secret. But more on that later. Developed by Crawfish Interactive, it was published through Acclaim in December 1999. A puzzle platformer, it was this glowing review of it in the superlative Planet Game Boy magazine that convinced me to shell out for a copy. You play as a trio comprising of the titular Maya and her bee comrade Willy, with Flick the Grasshopper acting as the third wheel. That's not being unfair on Flick either, by the way. He literally gets used as a platform by his friends. I think some of us can relate to this guy. Hang in there, Flick. Hang in there. The plot, as told by the occasionally possessed bee teacher Cassandra, is that serious cases of honey theft and kidnapping are going down in the insect hood, and it's up to you to bring these bug bandits to justice. And how do you do this? Why, by flipping switches, dodging enemies, and partaking in some perfunctory platforming, of course. Well, what exactly did you expect? Death Wish with insects? Actually, that sounds pretty good. In the mould of SNES cult classic The Lost Vikings, each character has their own unique abilities, and you have to combine them in a variety of ways to complete each stage. Now, if you're anything like me, puzzle platformers like this tend to reach a tipping point. On one side of the scale is frustration, with things getting so labyrinth and complex, you ultimately lose the will to keep playing. When you consider that touching an enemy, or falling from a significant distance, results in death here, this could have been too large a pitfall to sidestep. On the other side of the scale though, is a smooth difficulty curve and the bravery to keep things simple. Maya the Bee and her friends fortunately falls on the latter side, for the most part at least. The majority of the levels are kept rather small in size, meaning you'll never feel overwhelmed, so the icy grasp of tedium is largely kept at bay. Sure, I'd be lying if I said it was a rip-roaring thrill ride, but there are some attempts to mix things up here, such as the addition of boss stages. Your aim in these is to get all three characters onto your foe's platform within the time limit, and then apparently you win. The part where Maya, Flick and Willy bludgeon the boss's head in with an empty piece of honeycomb is naturally kept off screen. There are also levels where you have to stop a spider from killing flowers. Again, the spider starving to death isn't shown. You'd think this was a game for kids or something. Anyway, the generally brisk pace is supported by the clear and colourful visuals and some suitably boppy music, which has actually been composed by Tim Folin of Plock and Solstice fame. The game is a solid package then, but there are still some questionable design choices present, such as the tutorial only being shown when you stay on the title screen for a certain amount of time. I never figured that out as a kid and subsequently got stuck often, having to exploit the password save system to help me out. Some of the boss stages do seem to revolve around trial and error too, such as this one, where escalators can lead you to unavoidable death. So that's all I have to say about Maya the Bee and her friends, but... Oh yeah, that. Well, the secret I mentioned earlier. It's time to reveal all, I guess. Those of a nervous disposition might want to stop watching. Maya the Bee and her friends suffers an identity crisis, in that it's actually a Mary, Kate and Ashley title as well. The New Adventures of Mary, Kate and Ashley, to be precise. Yes, I do actually own this. This is effectively the same game, using the 3-character system and level design. Even the passwords are identical. There are the obvious art and character changes, and the boss battles are gone, but ultimately publisher Acclaim asked Crawfish Interactive to create 2 versions of the same title for different regions. It was originally going to be a South Park tie-in too, but Matt Stone and Trey Parker allegedly decided that the show wasn't a suitable fit for the child-friendly portable. Anyway, both titles launched in Christmas 1999, but there are some clues that Mayer might have actually led the way when it came to a few design decisions. Some enemies, such as this pack of termites, turn up in both titles for instance, and unless there's an episode of The Adventures of Mary, Kate and Ashley where the team gets shrunk down and enslaved and killed by insects, I think these guys belong in just one version. Let me check. No, there isn't, sadly. There are also what appear to be underground tunnels that don't really make sense in a Mary Kate game. I find it kind of charming that Crawfish thought it could get away without changing these things though. It's like a house redecoration job that keeps up all the paintings from the previous owner, and all those paintings are of termites and underground tunnels. It is worth noting that there are some differences between the games that aren't just cosmetic though, such as the extra pickups offering clues in the new adventures, whereas in Mayer they're mere trinkets. The levels are more split up in the latter however, which makes things a little more forgiving. There are some problems that are universal across both versions of course, such as the hidden tutorial and the painfully poor cutscenes. I know these are aimed at children, but seriously, they've been written with all the grace and wit of a breeze block through a window. Still, these are ultimately interesting and engaging games, if arguably for their intriguing backstory as much as the tightly designed experiences that they offer. Puzzle platformers may have moved on a great deal in recent years, but there's still a simple pleasure to these games all the same. They're a demonstration of the type of cost cutting that you don't see in the industry nowadays as well, although that's probably for the best. Beyond this game, both franchises went their own ways, with Mayer starring in a string of increasingly disappointing portable escapades. One was Garden Adventures on the Game Boy Color, which is effectively an hour-long fetch quest. Mary, Kate and Ashley got treated a little better, with the same setup from the new adventures being used in Get a Clue, which is effectively an expansion pack of sorts. Sadly, it was never reskinned as a Mayer the Bee title. Ultimately though, this two-faced title was probably the best game to come from both licenses. But the big question is, which version is better? Well personally, I wouldn't choose the one starring the group of small, icky and inhuman protagonists. With Mayer the Bee and her friends, the superior title.
Look, Ma! I say look! Top of the world!